Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the traditional Islamic narrative about the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. It's a story that's just filled with these extraordinary signs and, well, cosmic portents that were said to announce his arrival to the entire world.
So how would the world know a prophet was on the way? Well, according to this account, the signs didn't just pop up at the moment of birth. Nope, they started way earlier, and they started with the person closest to the child, his mother.
And this comes straight from the source herself, from Hazrat Amina, the Prophet's mother. Her pregnancy, as the stories go, was anything but ordinary. I mean, it was marked by these events that even she found wondrous, hinting that the child she was carrying was truly extraordinary.
So what did she experience? Well, the accounts talk about a whole series of really personal miracles, signs that pointed to the unique nature of the child inside her. And these events, they ranged from the physical to the totally spiritual.
And when you look at what these miracles were, it's pretty incredible. For starters, while most women go through all the usual pains and sicknesses of pregnancy, hers was said to be completely free of any discomfort. A cloud supposedly followed her around to give her shade. Trees would literally bow their branches as she walked by. And get this, even the sacred Zamzam well would rise up to meet her when she approached. On top of all that, she had this powerful dream of a light coming from her that lit up the entire world.
But it wasn't just things you could see. There was also something you could smell. A beautiful, kind of mysterious fragrance was said to follow Amina everywhere she went. And this wasn't perfume. The scent was so unique and so powerful that other people noticed it, including her own father-in-law, Abdul Muttalib, who was the respected leader of the Quraysh tribe.
So eventually Abdul Muttalib asks her, "What is that incredible smell?" And that's when Amina reveals her secret. She pointed to her womb and explained that all of these blessings, the fragrance, the easy pregnancy, all the strange happenings, it was all because of the coming guest she was carrying. It was really the first open admission of the child's miraculous nature.
Okay, so we've had all these personal, intimate signs for his mother, but now the story goes, things started to get bigger. We're talking cosmic. The signs expanded outward, becoming public events for everyone to see, especially for scholars who are already watching the heavens for a very specific prophecy.
So the clock is ticking, right? 10 days before the birth, this bright red star pops up in the sky, a sign that was supposedly mentioned in Jewish scriptures foretelling the arrival of the final prophet. Well, this sent scholars in Medina into an absolute frenzy. They searched their own city high and low, but couldn't find anyone who fit the prophecy. So their search took them to the city of Mecca.
And listen, they weren't just wandering around looking for any baby, they had a very specific checklist. When they got to Mecca, they found out there were 5 pregnant women, but only one of them was carrying a child whose father had already passed away, the unborn grandson of Abdul Muttalib.
So when they put 2 and 2 together and realized this child checked all the boxes, well, you can imagine the reaction. The scholars are said to have cried out in dismay. According to the very sign they'd been waiting for, the prophetic lineage was moving away from their people and over to the people of Mecca. All right, so that brings us to the actual night of the birth itself, a night that, according to the story, was just as packed with miraculous signs as the month leading up to it.
And here's where the story paints this incredible picture of contrast. You have all these cosmic signs, a star in the sky, but the birth itself, it happened in the humblest of circumstances. The family was apparently so poor they didn't even have money for oil to light a lamp. Think about that. The child who is said to be a light for the world was born into literal darkness.
Now, imagine you're the midwife, a woman named Shifa. You've delivered countless babies. But this was different. She saw 3 things that just didn't make any sense. The baby was born with his umbilical cord already cut, he was perfectly clean, and he was already circumcised.
So you can see why she would say something like this. This wasn't just some casual observer. This was the expert in the room, the one on the front lines, and she was completely stunned by what she saw, exclaiming, "In all my life, I have never seen such a child." But maybe the most incredible sign of all happened just moments after he was born. The infant is said to have turned, knelt down, and placed his head on the ground in a posture of prostration, a position of prayer, and stayed that way for a full 15 minutes.
So the birth itself was incredible, but in the days that followed, as more scholars came to see the child, something else started to brew right alongside the recognition, a threat. As his identity was confirmed, jealousy and fear started to rise from those who felt their own status was being challenged.
The story goes that a Jewish scholar came to the house. He had to see for himself. He asks to see the baby, and when he turns the infant over, he finds exactly what he was looking for, a distinct mark between the shoulder blades. In their scriptures, this was known as the seal of prophethood.
And the moment he sees it, he just cries out, confirming the child's identity for everyone to hear. But that confirmation was like a spark in a tinderbox. It was both a validation of a long-awaited prophecy and, at the same time, the source of this deep-seated resentment and fear for what was to come.
Okay, so let's fast forward a few years. The boy is now about 7 years old, and another group of scholars, maybe still skeptical, decides they need one last, foolproof test to be absolutely sure. And they come up with a very clever plan.
And they knew just the thing. According to their own texts, there was one quality a true prophet had that you just couldn't fake. Their scriptures said a true prophet was so innately pure that they physically could not eat anything that was forbidden or haram, or even something from a doubtful source, which is called mushtaba.
So they lay a trap. It's brilliant, really. They invite the boy and his family to this big feast. But secretly, they prepared the meal with two kinds of impure meat. One was from stolen chickens, which is clearly haram, and the other was from chickens where the price hadn't been properly settled, making it mushtaba, or doubtful.
And what happened next was just wild. Every single time they tried to give the boy a piece of the forbidden meat, it would inexplicably fall right out of their hand. This happened 10 times. And when they tried with the doubtful meat, the little piece of food would just swerve to the left or right, dodging his mouth completely.
And after all this, with food literally flying away from his mouth, the young boy just looks at them and says so calmly, "This food is not for us." He didn't know their plot, but his innate purity had rejected the food, giving them the final, undeniable proof they were looking for.
So what do we take away from all of this? It really leaves you with a powerful question. This foundational story isn't just about miracles. It's also about immediate conflict. The very same signs that supposedly proved the prophet's identity were also the signs that sparked jealousy and hostility, setting a pattern of challenge that, according to this story, would define the rest of his life.